I'm not standing here to impress you. I'm standing here because I'm certain in a way that doesn't shout, doesn't rush, doesn't beg for approval. Certain like a man who has walked alone long enough to know the value of walking beside someone. I've seen the world test love, stretch it, bruise it, and ask it hard questions. And I didn't run. I waited. I learned. I became ready. This isn't about fairy tales or perfect timing. It's about choosing every day to show up with honesty, patience, and courage. It's about building something real, something steady, something that lasts when the noise fades. Today, I'm not promising perfection. I'm promising presence. I'm promising loyalty when it's easy and when it's not. I'm promising a life where love is not just spoken, but lived. I am ready to make you my wife. I didn't wake up one morning and decide this out of impulse or loneliness. I arrived here slowly, through silence, through nights where no one clapped for growth, through seasons where love was only an idea I carried inside my chest and protected from the world. I learned that readiness is not excitement, it is calm. It is the moment when you no longer ask what love will give you, but what you are willing to give without. Keeping score. I learned to sit with my flaws instead of running from them, to look at my past without bitterness and my future without fear. I learned how easy it is to promise and how hard it is to stay. And I chose to become the kind of man who stays even when staying costs comfort. I am not driven by the rush of romance, but by the depth of commitment, by the understanding that love is built in ordinary days, in shared mornings, in quiet disagreements, in forgiveness offered without drama. I became ready when I stopped needing to be saved and started wanting to protect, when I stopped chasing excitement and started valuing peace, when I realized that strength is gentle and devotion is quiet. I know what it means to stand alone and not be afraid of it. And because of that, I know the difference between needing someone and choosing someone. I choose you with open eyes, not because life will be easier, but because it will be truer. I am ready to carry responsibility without resentment, to listen without preparing my defense, to grow without blaming, to love without escape plans. I understand that marriage is not a finish line, but a daily decision, a repeated yes in moments no one sees. I am ready to build a life where trust is not demanded, but earned again and again, where loyalty is not a word, but a pattern, where love is shown in consistency more than intensity. I have learned patience by waiting and courage by staying honest. I am not offering perfection. I am offering presence, a steady hand, a clear intention, a heart that does not disappear when things get heavy. I am ready because I no longer confuse passion with purpose, because I know that real love is not loud, but it is unshakable. It does not perform, it endures, it grows roots, it chooses the long road. And when I say I am ready to make you my wife, it comes from a place that has been tested, stripped, rebuilt, and grounded in truth. A place that understands forever is not a promise you shout, but a path you walk every single day, without looking for an exit, without waiting for applause, without needing proof, just faith in the choice and respect for the woman I am choosing to walk beside, to protect, to honor, to grow with, to come home to choose again, even on the days when love feels quiet, heavy, real, and unfinished. Yet live in a world that pulls attention in 1,000 directions, where desire is cheap, options are endless, and commitment is treated like a limitation instead of a strength. I've watched people confuse access with connection and freedom with loneliness, and I chose differently. I chose depth over variety, meaning over momentary thrill. I learned that choosing one woman is not about closing doors, but about opening the right one and walking through it fully, without looking back, without wondering who else is watching. I am not distracted by what glitters briefly, because I understand the cost of divided focus. How that love cannot grow where attention keeps wandering. I learned discipline not as restriction, but as devotion. The ability to say no to everything else so I can say yes with my whole being to one person, to one future, to one shared life. I don't want fragments of affection scattered across moments and people. I want continuity, history, memory, something that deepens with time instead of resetting every season. I have seen how easy it is to keep one foot out the door, to keep options open, to stay emotionally uncommitted while pretending to be present, and I refuse to live that way. I refuse to be half a man offering half a heart. Choosing you means I stop scanning the room, stop measuring alternatives, stop entertaining maybes. It means my attention becomes intentional. My loyalty becomes visible, my focus becomes steady. I understand that being chosen is powerful, but being consistently chosen is life-changing. I want you to feel that certainty, that grounded knowing that you are not competing with the world for my attention, that when I am with you, I am not elsewhere in my mind, that my presence is not borrowed or temporary, I choose one woman because love deserves priority, because partnership demands clarity, because confusion erodes trust and trust is everything. I know the modern world praises independence, but quietly suffers from disconnection. I am not afraid to commit my energy, my desire, my future to one person, because I know that real freedom comes from alignment, from knowing where you stand and who you stand with. I don't want endless beginnings. I want a shared middle, a shared struggle, a shared growth that only comes when two people stay. Choosing you is an act of respect. It is me saying you are not replaceable, not optional, not provisional. It is me saying my loyalty is not situational. It doesn't depend on mood, convenience, or attention from others. I understand that love in a distracted world requires intention every day. Small decisions repeated quietly, boundaries held without resentment, eyes that don't wander because the heart already knows where it belongs. I am ready for that discipline, ready to protect what we build from outside noise and internal doubt, ready to be a man whose actions make my choice obvious without explanation. I don't want you guessing where you stand. I want my consistency to answer that question before it's ever asked. Choosing one woman is not a loss of possibility. It is the creation of meaning. It is depth replacing chaos, direction replacing drift. I know that over time attraction matures into trust, and trust matures into partnership. And that only happens when attention stays rooted, when love is not diluted by distraction. I am ready to give you that undivided focus, that quiet certainty, that feeling of being fully seen and fully chosen in a world that rarely slows down enough to offer. I, Theri, am not walking toward you with fear in my hands or doubt in my voice. I am walking forward because I understand what it means to choose a future without guarantees and still move with confidence. Life has taught me that certainty does not come from knowing every outcome, but from trusting the direction you're walking in. And I trust this path. I trust the idea of us moving forward together, not because it will always be smooth, but because we will face what comes side by side. I don't believe in standing still, waiting for perfect conditions. I believe in movement, in progress, in deciding to step forward even when the road is unclear. Walking together means we don't pretend fear doesn't exist. It means we acknowledge it and refuse to let it lead. I am not afraid of responsibility, of time, of change, or of the work that comes with building a life. I have learned that fear grows when you hesitate and shrinks when you commit. And I am committed. I want a life where we grow into ourselves together, where challenges don't divide us but define, where uncertainty becomes a shared experience instead of a lonely burden. I understand that walking forward together means adapting, learning, sometimes slowing down, sometimes carrying each other when one of us is tired. It means not turning every difficulty into a question about love, but into a question about effort. And understanding, I am ready to face the future without running from its weight, ready to build something that doesn't rely on constant excitement, but on steady progress. I don't need a flawless plan. I need a partner willing to walk, to learn, to adjust, to keep going. I believe courage in love looks like consistency, like choosing the same direction even when the scenery changes, like staying aligned when the world tries to pull us apart with noise and pressure. I am not looking backward at who I was or sideways at what others are doing. My focus is forward, on the life we can build, the home we can create, the trust we can strengthen with every step. Walking together means we don't threaten departure when things get hard. We don't weaponize silence. We don't keep score of sacrifices. We move as a unit with respect, with honesty, with the understanding that growth is not always comfortable, but always necessary. I am ready to face time with you, to let years shape us instead of scare us, to let experience deepen what attraction started, to let shared history become our strength. I am not afraid of the unknown because I know who I am walking with, and that makes all the difference. Moving forward together means choosing resilience over retreat, faith over fear, presence over avoidance. It means understanding that love is not proven by promises alone, but by the willingness to keep walking when the road demands patience, strength, and trust. And I am ready for that journey, ready to move forward with intention, with steadiness, with a heart that doesn't look for exits, with a commitment that keeps its eyes on the horizon and its feet moving forward beside you. I used to think love was about how it feels when everything is light, when laughter comes easy and the future feels far away. But time has a way of teaching you the weight of real things, and real love, carries weight. It asks something from you. It doesn't just decorate your life, it rearranges it. I learned that love is not a mood you fall into, but a responsibility you step up to, a quiet agreement you make with another human being that says, I will not disappear when this gets difficult. I will not turn away when you are tired, afraid, or imperfect. I will stay present when it would be easier to retreat into myself. I understand now that love is less about grand gestures and more about reliability, about being the person who shows up consistently, who listens when it's uncomfortable, who speaks honestly if it, and when silence would be safer. Loving you is not about escaping life's problems. It is about facing them together without making you carry more than your share. I don't see love as something that exists only in romance. I see it in patience, in compromise, in choosing understanding over ego, in learning how to argue without trying to win, in learning how to forgive without keeping score. Responsibility in love means I take ownership of my actions, my words, my moods, and their impact on you. It means I don't make my wounds your burden, and I don't expect you to complete what I haven't healed. I come to you whole enough to be accountable, humble enough to grow, strong enough to protect what we build. Love is not fantasy to me anymore. It is not the idea that everything will be perfect. It is the decision to work through imperfection with respect, to create safety where honesty can live, to make room for both our strengths and our fears. I understand that marriage is not about possession but partnership, not about control but care, not about being needed but being dependable. I am ready to take responsibility for the tone of our home, for the emotional climate we live in, for being a man who does not outsource effort or blame circumstances. When things feel heavy, I know that love demands discipline, the discipline to communicate instead of withdrawing, to protect trust even when temptation whispers, to choose kindness when frustration is loud. Responsibility means I don't treat your heart casually, I don't play with uncertainty, I don't leave questions unanswered. I give clarity because clarity is a form of love. I don't romanticize struggle, but I respect it, because responsibility turns hardship into meaning. I want to be someone you can lean on without fear of collapse, someone whose word carries weight because it's backed by action, someone who understands that love is built in the everyday decisions. No one applauds. The conversations late at night, the patience on long days, the forgiveness that keeps us moving forward. I am ready to love you not just when it feels good, but when it requires effort, not just when it's easy to say, but when it's hard to prove. Love as responsibility means I choose to be accountable for the life we create together, the emotional space we share, the future we shape through our daily choices, and I am ready to carry that with intention, with respect, with steadiness, with a commitment that doesn't rely on illusion but on the strength of showing up fully and honestly for the woman I am choosing to walk beside.